Hi there, welcome to CS6303 Computer Architecture lecture video 5. So in this video session we are going to discuss the basic operations of a computer. So basic operations of a computer is the basic functions performed by any computer system. It may be an old computer or the modern computer or processors we are using. The basic functions are same to all kind of processors and computers. So we will check the basic functions performed by any computer system. They are, first one is fetch. Getting the instruction from the memory is referred to fetch, that is taking the instruction to be executed from the memory. Next operation is decode. So in this decode it is nothing but understanding the fetched instruction. It understands, the processor understands what the instruction is meaning, what is the meaning of the instruction. And the next third operation or function of the computer is to execute the understand execution instruction, that is, it is going to execute the fetched instruction. So after executing the instruction it will produce the results. So the fourth operation is going to store the results, that is store. So the four basic operations of a computer are fetch, decode, execute and store. Now we will discuss these operations in detail one by one, that is fetch, decode, execute, etc. So now let us see what is fetching operation. We know that getting the instruction from the memory is referred to as fetch. So that is taking a content from the memory can also be referred to as fetch. But we always used to say that taking the content from a memory is referred to as a read operation. But fetch is somewhat different from read operation. In fetch we are taking the instruction from the memory, whereas in read operation we are taking the data from memory. So there is a basic difference between fetch and decode. So once if you fetch a content, it can only be executed. So we are fetching the instruction. The instructions are fetched and only it should be executed. But whereas the read content can be altered. So you have to understand the basic difference between fetch operation and read operation. Normally taking a data from memory is referred to as read operation, and taking the instruction from the memory is referred to as fetch operation. So the fetched instruction can only be executed, whereas the read content can be altered. So now we will see what is decode. Decode is nothing but understanding the fetched instruction. The machine, it cannot understand the instruction which is available in the memory, and it needs to decode the instruction to its own language. So after decoding, it will understand the required operation to be performed by the processor. So this decoding operation is performed by decoding unit. So the decoding unit, after decoding the instruction, it sends the required command to the control unit and ALU to perform the operation. Next, the third operation of the computer is execute, or we call it as execution. It performs this in this stage, in this operation, the CPU or the computer performs the required operation, example addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. This operation is performed by execution unit. Always we call execution unit as ALU, arithmetic and logic unit. So it is a unit which is responsible to perform all the arithmetic and logical operations. The operations varies upon the processor type. Each processor has its own variety of operations that we will be discussing in later video sessions. So the fourth operation of any computer is to store the executed results. After completing execution, the processor produces results, and the results are to be stored in the memory. That is going to be the fourth operation. So we know that getting the data out of the memory is referred to as read operation. In case of instruction, it is referred to as fetch operation, whereas Putting the data into the memory is referred to as write operation. Storing that content into the memory is called write operation. There are different methods of writing the data into the memory. So they are write back. This is one method of storing the data into the memory, and write through. This is another method of storing the data into the memory. So we will be these write back and write through mechanism of storing the data will be discussed in the later sessions. So this state diagram it shows a simple pictorial representation of basic operations of computer. So in the previous slides we had discussed the basic operations of computer, and it is very clear now. The computers performs fetch, decode, execute and store operations. So this diagram will show you a simple representation of these operations. So now let us start with the start. Once started, the processor will fetch the instruction. Here the decoding unit is not shown, so it is embedded with this execute instruction block. After fetching the instruction, it will be decoded. Here it is decoded. Then once decoding is completed, it is executed. Then this halt, it says the execution. After execution, it stores the result, and it keeps on fetching the instructions until the end of the program. So this is a simple state diagram which tries to compile the whole operation of a basic operation of a computer. Now let us look into the let us now look into the detailed look into the state diagram or the operation. Let us for our convenience we will take this example as add a comma b. So add a comma b is an instruction. Let us assume the instruction is add a comma b, and now we will see in this video. First, this is the memory. So this memory contains the instruction add a comma b. So here this add a comma b is the whole thing is the instruction, where a is data 1, b is data 2 and a plus b is the result. So this is the memory which holds the instruction data 1, data 2 and the result. So now the first operation of the computer is to fetch the instruction from the memory. So from the memory it is fetching the instruction. It fetches add a comma b. The whole instruction is fetched from the memory. So the next operation of the computer is to understand the fetched instruction. So it understands what it needs to do. So it decodes the instruction add a comma b. So after decoding, it comes to know it has to add two numbers a and b, and these two numbers a and b are available in the memory. So again it needs to access the memory to take a and to take b and to perform a plus b. So what happens after decoding? It reads the data from a from the memory, and it reads the data b from the memory. So it reads the data a from memory, and it reads data b from the memory. So now a and b are read from the memory. So here you have to note that they are not fetched, they are read from the memory. And next they asked these two data has to be added. So after decoding, the operation of the computer is to execute. So here it will perform the a plus b operation, that is nothing but execution. It will execute a plus b. So after execution it will produce the results, and these results are to be again stored into the back into the memory. So now it is trying to store, that is a fourth operation, store a plus b. So the store a plus b will be again stored into the memory, back into the memory. So this detailed state diagram clearly explains the basic operations of a computer. So execute, that is fetch, decode, execute and store. So Thank you for watching lecture 5 of computer architecture. So in the next video lecture we will be discussing the instruction sets and addressing modes and other topics. Thank you for patient listening. Thank you very much.